Hey everybody, so here's my second video. Yesterday I ended up finishing one of the stories from HP Lovecraft called The Alchemist. Now, that was not my favorite story to listen to, and before I get into the reasons why, I just want to give everybody a quick spoiler warning. Alright? If you do not want to have all this stuff spoiled for you, please stop watching the video, listening to it, whatever you're doing. Go and read it, and then come back and finish this. Now, if you don't care about spoilers, go ahead and proceed. Anyways, The Alchemist is told through the point of view of a young man in France in, I believe, the 1800s. He's a count, something like that. And in his family, all of the male members of his family die at around the same age, at age 32, or a little bit after they turn 32 years old. This includes his father, his grandfather, going all the way back to the 13th century, so it's been going on for like 600 years. Now, the main character, he ends up getting kind of into the occult and some other stuff. I mean, this is Lovecraft we're talking about, so of course there's going to be some weird, strange elements to it. And he ends up looking through his family history, and he sees when this curse began back 600 years ago. Now, in the story, 600 years ago, one of his ancestors had to deal with a man who practiced witchcraft, sorcery, that sort of stuff. And everybody, his name was Michel, the witch or warlock or whatever you want to call him. And they all called him, or at least all of the townspeople and peasants and such, called him Michel Mauvais, meaning Michel the Wicked or Michel the Evil. That's kind of how Mauvais translates to from French to English. There's a couple of different meanings to that word. Anyways, Michel has a son named Charles, and he gets into alchemy, and people call him Charles le Sorcier, meaning Charles the Sorcerer, Charles the Witch, Sorcerer, Sorcier. It's kind of where that word comes from. So, anyways, in the story, the ancestor who was originally cursed, his son goes missing, and naturally he believes that it was Michel's fault, since Michel is into all sorts of weird, dark, magic, occult sort of stuff. So he goes over to Michel's home, confronts him. He thinks that Michel killed his son, and so he, the ancestor, kills Michel. Turns out the son was not there. He was in some part of the castle where the man lived and everything. And Michel's son, Charles, ends up coming out of the woods, sees what happens, ends up cursing the Count, throws a vial into his face, and the Count dies. The curse being that all of his male descendants would die at the same age that the Count died, which the Count died just shortly after he turned 32 years old. So, after Charles does this curse, he runs off into the woods. The Count's dead, so his son becomes the new Count, and then And this is the same son that had went missing and started all of this in the first place. The son ends up becoming the new count, and then a little after 32 years old, he dies during a hunting accident. During hunting, getting shot in the eye by an arrow. And then his son, after he turns 32, also dies mysteriously. And this continues on and on and on for 600 years. So the main character of the story in the quote-unquote present time, he's getting close to 32. He's getting real worried about that stuff. And so he starts exploring through his family's castle, because at this point there's not a whole lot of people left in the family. I believe it's just him. So it's this huge castle with just him in it. And he starts exploring different areas of the castle, and he ends up finding this trap door. And he goes down into the trap door, starts exploring, and he finds this room with all sorts of different alchemical stuff just strewn everywhere, kind of like a laboratory. So if you could imagine a medieval alchemist laboratory, that's what he finds. And he also finds gold down there too. Well, all of a sudden, a door creaks open, and there's this man who comes through who's got this big, long, black, bushy beard, wearing medieval robes and stuff like that. And it turns out that that man who comes through the door is Charles. He figured out the secret to immortality, so he made the Philosopher's Stone, that fabled elixir that all alchemists were trying to do, and he used it. And so for 600 years, this guy had just been murdering every male member of the family right after they turned 32 years old, in order to create the appearance of this curse. So in reality, it wasn't a curse, it was just some crazy alchemist guy who figured out how to make himself immortal and started murdering people. Well, the protagonist of the story, the descendant of the Count and the current Count, he freaks out, throws the torch at Charles, and Charles ends up getting lit on fire, and he kind of goes up like a human candle. And well, he dies. Charles dies finally after 600 years. So the curse, quote unquote, is broken, and everything is fine with the new Count, because now he's not going to get murdered by some 600-year-old alchemist. I didn't like this story very much, mostly because of the reveal. I mean, the reason why I didn't really like it is, put yourself in Charles' shoes, okay? You're this alchemist guy, your dad was nuts, doing all sorts of messed up stuff. You actually figure out how to transmutate materials and other types of metal into gold. And on top of that, you figure out the secret to immortality. What would you do with your life then if you were immortal and you could just make gold out of whatever? Would you really care that much about, about your dad, who may or may not have been abusive from how he was described? I'm sorry, if my dad was like that and I had the ability to make myself immortal and to transmutate lead and other metals into gold, and somebody killed my dad, I'd be like, hey, thanks, you just did me a favor, here's some gold. I mean, seriously, that's the dumbest motivation for any character out there, in my opinion. I mean, you could go wherever, do whatever, become the most rich and powerful person on Earth. I mean, you could be the Rothschilds before there were the Rothschilds, or the Illuminati before that ever happened, if you guys subscribe to those theories. I don't personally. I kind of think that life is not that interesting, but I digress. My point is that it just seemed really dumb, a really dumb motivation to me. And I mean, you're not even moving on with your life. I mean, you gotta come back every 10 to 20 or so years just to kill a guy, and then you can just go off and do whatever. I mean, from the way that the story was, it sounded like Charles was just living down there in the basement for 600 years in this castle. What kind of a life is that? It just did not make much sense to me. I thought it was dumb. I mean, it was, yeah, sure, it was entertaining, but come on, you could have easily came up with better motivations than that, than some stupid little vendetta because your dad gets killed because somebody mistakenly thinks that he kidnapped a kid. I don't know, maybe that's just me. I just think that that's such wasted potential of 600 years of life. And then to top it all off, you end up dying by the descendant of the dude you were originally pissed off at. And for what? I mean, it didn't seem like he had much, like Charles had much of a life. That's miserable. That's stupid. I wouldn't want to live like that. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this. What I decided to do is, instead of doing one video for 2 stories, I want to do Lovecraft's work justice and not really rush through stuff. So I believe I'm going to do 1 video per story. I have already finished At the Mountains of Madness, so I'm going to take a quick break and then do my review on that. So it'll probably be about 2 or so videos like this per day. And at the moment, I'm going to hold off on doing the vlogs just until I get used to editing and trying to figure out a couple of different things for how I'm going to film some of the stuff. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this. If you're wondering where I'm at right now, driving through California, I-5 going north, just passed through Lodi. I haven't quite gotten to Sacramento yet. I'm probably going to film again after getting through Sacramento. And my plan for today is to stop at Redding so I can go to the gym. I've got a Planet Fitness membership, so I can try to get some workouts in. It is really not very easy to exercise while you're on the road. There's not a whole lot of places for trucks to be able to stop at, except for truck stops, rest areas, that sort of thing. So, oh, and to top it all off, I'm kind of limited on some space. I do have some weight stuff with me, but yeah, I can't quite do everything that I would like to do. When I first started driving, I was doing pretty decent with working out every day, but then for the last, I don't know, month and a half, 2 months, I've really kind of let myself go as far as actually doing the workouts. But anyways, tangent over. I'm gonna get back into that, and my daily routine sort of stuff will be included in those vlogs, but I'm going to get that figured out exactly how I want to film it and everything, and get a little bit better at editing the videos before I actually start to do that. So anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you guys have a great day.